Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Tonight is August 29th. It's Wednesday, 2018. Tonight's topic: when are they going to ban Bitcoin and arrest everybody? We're going to get to that in a minute. First, take a look at the gold and crypto markets, the stock markets, the dollar index. Gold managed to poke its head and stay ahead yesterday over 1200, and today it opened at around 1203 and closed the day at 1206, and it stayed above 1200 all day long. Got down as low as 1201.10, but still at 1200, over 1200. Now silver has yet to poke back above 15, and silver though did manage to close flat today, opened at about 1473 and closed at about 1473. It had gone down as low as 1463. Now, in the regular markets, the markets are up, especially the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ was up almost 1%. In fact, the numbers on NASDAQ was up 79 points, and the Dow was up 60 points, but NASDAQ closed at a record 8109. The Dow Jones Industrial at 26,124. S&P, another good day, up to 2914. All right, now let's take a look at the cryptos. The cryptos had a very good day yesterday. A little bit of follow through today, though not too much, but Bitcoin still above 7,000 at 7,030, pretty much flat from 24 hours ago. Bitcoin Cash down a bit, 554. Ethereum down about 2% to 288, and Litecoin still above 60 at 61.54, down about 2.5%. All right, tonight's topic: when are they going to ban Bitcoin and arrest everybody? All right, now some people still believe that, and I believe it's true in China. Communist China, which has a top-down, totally controlling internet, totally controlling society, gives out social credits. You can't watch YouTube in China. Sure, they've banned Bitcoin. Now remember, a lot of people who are gold promoters, they think China is their gold buddy. I don't know why. I think they think because China has gold, somehow that makes them their gold buddy, that they're smart, they read Sun Tzu. I've never understood why they haven't latched on to India. India loves gold. India doesn't have a totalitarian society. They may have a socialist society. The Indian people love gold. And in fact, now I saw the other day that India is going to be the world's largest oil importer. How come we don't see Petro Rupee and Gold Back Rupee? All of these gold pumper stories seem to focus obsessively on China. China can do no wrong. China is your gold buddy. China plays the long game. Sun Tzu, game changer, gold back yuan. And then the people that seem to promote this, they're the ones who are always saying they're going to shut Bitcoin down. They're going to arrest everybody. Everyone's going to be an international money launderer. It just seems to be some type of connection between people that promote gold and China. And I'm not sure the two really go together, because gold is actually a neutral element. It doesn't have anything to do with China or India or US. In fact, gold actually would align itself with more of a free market society than it would with a totalitarian one. But anyway, let's get back to the topic, which is when are they going to ban Bitcoin and arrest everyone? I come back to this topic a lot because there's still many people in the gold and silver community that believe that that's what's going to happen. Now, it could happen if the United States falls into Chinese-style censorship, which is what we are seeing that on the internet. We are seeing that certain people are being booted off of YouTube. We're seeing that type of censorship. And of course, if there was that type of censorship, then yes, just like China, then they would ban Bitcoin. They would ban cryptocurrencies. However, they're not predicting that the United States is going to become like China. In fact, China's superior in their minds because they've got gold. They know, they're smart. They understand gold. They're like Sun Tzu. The West is stupid. So I don't even think they think that the United States is going to become like China and censor everybody and have a golden paradise where everyone has gold and Bitcoin is shut down. I don't even understand the thought process there at all. But it could happen if the United States were to take a turn for a much more controlling top-down economy, centrally controlled, and they wanted to eliminate cryptocurrencies. However, the current state of play doesn't indicate anything like that at all. And I was reminded of that today when I saw a couple of things. So first of all, I did see on Yahoo. Not that Yahoo has anything to do with the law or what the United States is going to do, but it just indicates to me that the cryptocurrencies are so deeply embedded now, and there's so much money behind them in the United States, they're not going anywhere. There's a show on CNBC every day about the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and they're pumping it with that guy, I don't even remember his name, but Yahoo today I saw, when you look up the price of Bitcoin or Litecoin or a few other cryptocurrencies, they even have a buy and sell button embedded right onto the the page that's displaying the price. And we've seen now, I saw also today that there's so much work going on in this space. There's a company called Atomic Wallet. It's a wallet with decentralized atomic swap exchange. And if you don't know what any of this is, I'm not going to go into it right now. But the point is that there is so much work going on behind the scenes. Forget what the price of these things are. So much work going on both the centralized platforms and the decentralized platforms. I'll break it down very quickly. There are decentralized platforms being developed whereby people can trade peer-to-peer. That's what this Atomic Wallet allows you to do. You can trade with other people. You don't have the know your customer rule. Now, these are the kind of things that scare the central banks and scare governments because people are doing stuff behind their back. But people are going to do that kind of stuff, and technology allows them to do it. But also what's going on are companies like Coinbase and Gemini and Bakkt. Coinbase and Gemini are two very large US-based centralized cryptocurrency trading platforms. And both of them are trying desperately. They've raised a lot of capital to get themselves registered with the SEC so they can become alternative trading systems. Now, once that happens, that means that the SEC has insight. They can form a surveillance sharing agreement with them and track what they're doing to try to detect market fraud. And that's been the lack of those agreements has been the reason that the SEC has not approved a slew of Bitcoin ETFs. However, once those companies, Gemini, that's the Winklevoss twins, they also have a Bitcoin ETF they want to get registered that the SEC has not yet allowed. Coinbase and Bakkt. Now, Bakkt is backed by Microsoft, Starbucks, and the idea there is to have a company that can hold Bitcoin, Litecoin, and so on, and then allow people to take delivery of it and to store it, and then to also, Starbucks is involved to help them convert it into fiat so they can buy coffee with it. These things are all in developmental stage, and they're not being shut down by the current administration, the CFTC, the SEC. They're all very much trying to move this along so they have the proper regulation. They're not saying, okay, that's it, we're going to ban it. In fact, the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, has an ICO page advising people, it's sec.gov/ICO, I believe, advising people on how, if you want to bring an initial coin offering to the public, how you would do it, what would you have to do, and what your interaction with the SEC would be. Again, nothing to do with banning, nothing to do with shutting it down. So we're seeing a lot of these things happening with large companies. Also, a year ago, I saw that Fidelity Investments is a large trading company, probably the largest in the world with trillions of dollars in assets. They want in on the trading of cryptocurrencies. Why? Because they're not making any money right now in Coinbase and Kraken and Gemini and Bitfinance and all these other companies are making money trading. They're not getting in on it. So what they've done for over a year now, they've allowed people to integrate their Coinbase screen interface with their Fidelity interface, and they're testing it. And I can bet they're either going to buy one of these companies like Gemini or Kraken or Coinbase, or they're working on establishing their own. There was an article back in June about this as well. Goldman Sachs is involved with Poloniex through one of their investments. So all the big money is circling the wagons, and what they're really trying to get at, what the big interest here is not to ban it, but how are they going to come up with a regulatory structure to allow all the people who want to gamble on this stuff? And that's what's happening. Eventually, there will be an ETF. There'll be more than one ETF. There's been, I think, 12 or 13 that have already been rejected. As soon as they feel comfortable that there is sufficient size in the market, there's sufficient ability to look at data that U.S. exchanges have so they can detect whether there's any fraud, it's almost a certainty that they will eventually approve an ETF. Now, what does an ETF do? It attracts not every investment dollar, but there are certain segments of the institutional investment community that are interested in investing in cryptocurrencies. Why? Do they believe in it? Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but they want exposure to it because it's an element that they can't be exposed to right now because they can't buy something that's properly regulated. But once it is, again, like we say with silver, if only a small portion of investment dollars poured into silver, we'd see the price rise. Well, maybe we wouldn't because they would throw naked shorts at it, but the idea is the same concept. So these things are in train. They haven't been discouraged by the SEC. In fact, the CFTC and the CBOE have now Bitcoin futures, and they're looking to add other cryptocurrencies. Now, you say, well, it's a Ponzi scheme and it's a fraud. Legally, they would never approve a Bitcoin futures on a Ponzi scheme. I mean, people say it's a Ponzi scheme because you need more money to come in for it to go higher. That's true with anything. If people stop buying a stock, it's going to go down. That doesn't make it a Ponzi scheme. It doesn't rely on new money coming in. The same with gold. Gold isn't a Ponzi scheme if no one buys it. It just means the price will go down if people stop buying it. That doesn't make it a Ponzi scheme. The gold is still the gold. And the Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. A Ponzi scheme is when you actually need to put new money in order to pay out other people that have put money in early. That's like a pyramid scheme. All right, so the other things we're seeing are, I saw today, Jack Dorsey, the beloved owner or person who runs Twitter. He has won a patent for a cryptocurrency payment network. Now, whatever you think about Jack Dorsey and Twitter, it's not like they are fringe players in this whole scheme. They've got a patent, and they don't give out patents for things that are going to be illegal. And also, you can imagine that Square is placing its logo right next to Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover Card. These are the banks. Now, there is this one side, they're going to arrest everyone, they're going to ban Bitcoin. Not unless you're China. All right? And the other view is Bitcoin is going to crush the central banks. Be your own central banker. The banking system is shaking in its boots. Bitcoin is going to take over the world. That's more likely, but not very likely. What's happening, at least in my view, and everything I see, and it's not confirmation bias, I see what's happening, and if I were to see it change, then I would change my point of view. What's happening is there has been an attempt to merge the Bitcoin and the entire crypto system and roll it into a regulated environment. That doesn't mean that people won't use cryptocurrencies off centralized exchanges, won't transact in a way that the government can't find them, won't transact peer-to-peer. But what they're trying to do, it appears, is to get as much of the cryptocurrency infrastructure under a regulated environment where you have centralized exchanges, where you have, excuse me, SEC, not approved, but SEC reviewed initial coin offerings, and you have a regulatory environment where the big money and most of the money that will flow into crypto will somehow be tracked, traced, and that's what they want. And then I think they will also continue to go after bad actors for money laundering, tax evasion, and for criminal use. But for those people who say they're just going to shut it down, the reason they say that is they think that the shutting down of Bitcoin or Litecoin or Monero, whatever it is somehow going to help their asset class, which might be gold or silver. It's not. The two have really nothing to do with each other in that sense. You could shut it down tomorrow and people aren't going to say, oh, okay, well, I guess I can't have this new money that I can transfer across borders and not have to carry it. I might as well now go and buy gold so I can carry it. It really has nothing to do with it. So the other thing that's happened besides Square, I saw that they just got the patent the other day, is Coinbase announced that 42% of colleges now have courses on cryptocurrencies and blockchains. Now, they do teach a lot of nonsense at colleges, I understand that, but the idea that it's being ready, they're ready to ban it and to arrest everybody. They're not teaching people to be future criminals in colleges. They may be teaching to be miscreants in other ways. But the idea that somehow the government is going to, the United States government in its current form, is planning to shut down Bitcoin really is ludicrous. It's more ridiculous than saying that Bitcoin is going to take over the world, because Bitcoin could take over the world in a sense. It's a slim chance that somehow, if it was so convenient and so valued, but that people would use it and they would just abandon bank accounts. There's a lot of problems with Bitcoin that would prevent that. People don't feel comfortable with the technology. They don't know how to store their Bitcoin. It's the same reason why institutional investors aren't investing, for legal reasons. It's not very convenient for people who don't know what they're doing. You can't reverse transactions. There's many downsides to using and storing cryptocurrencies. And some people, myself included, still don't see how you have any value if you're somehow storing it somewhere. But the idea that they're looking to cut it down and arrest everybody, I would say if you think that, then you think the United States is going to become like China. And maybe the reason you think that is you want the U.S. to become like China, because China is smart. They like gold. They read Sun Tzu. They play the long game. They are not foolish like the United States. Yeah, China has a lot of issues too with debt. They seem to always forget that. They just point to the U.S. debt and somehow that China, because it has gold, China knows everything. The other thing I see is the number of Bitcoin ETFs. There's well over 1,000 Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin ATMs in the United States. There's about 1,900 just from one company called General Bytes in 53 countries around the world. Also, I noticed that recently the rules regarding congresspeople and senators is that they have to report their financial holdings, and now they also have to report cryptocurrencies because they are a financial asset. Well, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Bob Goodlatte, he reported owning about $80,000 worth of cryptocurrencies. Tulsi Gabbard, a Hawaiian congressperson, also reported owning some Litecoin and some Ethereum. So they're not going to pass laws to make things illegal that they own. Also, because of the amount of money involved, and I haven't even mentioned, but I did mention Goldman Sachs has invested in Poloniex indirectly, and there's a lot of venture capital money in Coinbase and in other crypto projects. But this kind of money, the Winklevoss twins, it buys access to politicians. And we saw how the Winklevoss twins, I think they donated $125,000 to the Cuomo campaign, and magically they got themselves a bit license. Also, the fact that the governments of states give out bit licenses means it's not illegal. It means they're not interested in making it illegal. They're interested in capturing revenue from fees for applying for a license. I mean, it's obvious to me what they want is they want their hand in the till. They want to regulate stuff. They want to get the lobbying money for the people that are in cryptocurrencies, and the money amounts are huge. And the banks and the trading platforms want this new type of trading because they know they can do volume and they can make a fortune on trading fees, on derivatives. It's the ideal thing for them because it's like introducing a new product line, and it's all additional money for them. So I don't see how anyone would think, unless the United States turns into a communist, gold-loving country, at least that's the mentality, that they're going to ban Bitcoin. All right, well, let's go and check out the comments. I haven't been looking at the comments. What I have been doing is looking at making sure that the stream is still working, because if the stream doesn't work, sometimes I end up talking for minutes without realizing that we have a problem. Well, let's take a look at the dashboard and see what we got in the way of comments. All right, MN New first. All right, all is one. Here he is, Carl Joseph DeMarco. Yeah, that silver's about to skyrocket. Saw it on YouTube today. I think I saw, just before I got on, I think it was Bix Weir was saying that. Now, Bix had said a couple of years ago he didn't expect it to go anywhere until, and I think he had something about I don't remember, but he had basically said because of the manipulation it wasn't going anywhere. But I did say I didn't get a chance to see his video today, why he thought it was set to skyrocket. All is one. I love gold. People always love gold. That's what it's never going to probably be ever used again as money, as a currency, although you could, but that doesn't detract from its properties, its rarity, its beauty, and so on. I can't help thinking there's some kind of China influence or cooperation going on with mainstream media and gold alt media. I've been reluctant to go there. Clearly, there's definitely a Chinese influence with the mainstream media, because you see it in the reporting, and there's been not evidence, but there's been a lot of suspicion that the Chinese have been influencing the universities, and Russia used to do the same thing. But China's got a lot of money now, so I don't doubt. And China has been found. In fact, if you look on your computer, I forgot what you could do. You could see you have Chinese spyware on your computer. So clearly, China is involved in manipulating the media and the universities. But it is very interesting that you see supposed patriots and people that are MAGA people always cheering on end of dollar hegemony, and China's going to show the United States they've had it, and that kind of stuff, which is kind of strange because you would think these are the types of people who would be pro-American, but they seem to always be. And they say, oh, no, it's got nothing to do with being pro-America. It's just America's got unsustainable debt. Well, so does China. I mean, it's not like, and if you live in one country and not the other, I can see if you lived in China, you would say China's going to crush the dollar. But I don't see why you live in the United States, knowing that both countries have massive debt. There does seem to be a good portion of the gold community that is very much in awe of China and almost rooting against the United States, like hoping for end of dollar hegemony. Like that's going to fix the world if only China were ascendant and the U.S. were descendant. I don't know how that helps people that live in the United States, and it's all because of gold. I think they think, you know, if that happens, then China's smart, China likes gold, China's their gold buddy. And China's not your buddy. They're not your gold buddy, they're their own buddy. All right. I can't help thinking, okay, all is one. He has been saying that now for 10 years. No, I don't think he has. I think he was saying it, and then he stopped saying it. Maybe he's saying it again. I don't know. Maybe gold bugs are closet totalitarians. I think what happens is with gold and silver bugs, Carl, they have fallen so in love with the asset class that that becomes their most important focus in life, maybe. In other words, their family, the USA, everything can go to hell as long as they, it's like Gollum, as long as they have their gold, as long as they have their silver. That is all I need to know. I have gold, and it will protect me against everything. You can lose your friends, your family, your house, but as long as you're clinging on, my precious, as long as you're holding on to your stack. And that's what it seems to be. There seems to be, and if Iran is buying gold, they are my gold buddy. Iran is smart. They are buying gold. Turkey, same thing. These are countries that they'd want nothing to do with, but because they are buying gold, they are smart. And we see that. The central banks are buying gold hand over fist. Kazakhstan, they are smart. I don't know. I'm not saying that people in those countries aren't smart. I don't think they're any smarter than anyone else because they buy gold. And I think there's an issue there. People really get excited about other people or countries buying gold, and they think, well, then they're like me. No, they're not. Countries that buy their own gold mining supply are not like you. You don't have a gold mine in your backyard to go buy gold from. You have dollars if you're American. You don't have a crappy currency that you're worried about collapsing, like the Turkish lira, like the Iranian rial, I think it's called, or the Russian ruble. You're not like them. They have gold. You have gold. They have gold in amounts that really can protect their country. You might have enough gold to protect your financial situation, but all right, all that gold in the Grand Canyon. What about security tokens? Well, what about them? I'll wait for you to respond below. Carl Joseph DeMarco. Matty D. It was legitimized for me personally when Fidelity announced they were mining Bitcoin and allowed you to link to Coinbase. Yes, Matty D, that is for me. I'm thinking there's no way a company of that size and supposed respectability, where there's trillions of dollars and they're a major bond buyer, that the fact that they had Bitcoin in their cafeteria last year or 2 years ago testing it out, that they're linking to Coinbase, they want in on this. They're not doing the traditional like what CNN does. You have to kick Alex Jones off because he is competition. You would think if they would be saying we have to shut down Coinbase, but they're not. They're embracing this whole thing. I heard the woman, she's very high up in Fidelity. She's not one of the Johnsons. And she gave this review of like, we really want cryptocurrencies to work. Yeah, I'm not even considering, unless there's some massive change in government, like I say, that goes to a more totalitarian overreaching, where you have limited access to the internet and they censor you. I mean, this could happen in the United States, but again, it would have to be like China, where you would even think about them shutting down Bitcoin and banning it and arresting everyone. And Matty D says it's just still hard enough for the average person to buy. Right, and that goes against the argument that it's going to take over the world. It's still not an easy thing. And I think that's where people see the money in Lightning networks and new interfaces and writing layers on top of the code to make it easier, to putting the cryptocurrency value on debit cards so people can spend their cryptocurrencies. That's what Bakkt is all about. That's a Microsoft company. Microsoft is not involved in something that's going to have everyone arrested. They may on other grounds, but not because of Bitcoin. All right, DW, Carl Joseph DeMarco. Hate to tell you, there isn't a hidden gold mine in the Grand Canyon. China is Israel. Silver is constitutional dollar. I don't know grains, Ed Mall. I go on grams or fractional ounces, and I know that the silver dollar, kind of strange. It has like 0.77, I think, ounces of gold. It's an unwieldy number. You see that in the U.S. dimes, nickels, quarters, and so on. They don't have round numbers in silver. So like the dollar is like 0.77344 ounces. the peace dollars and so on, and the half dollars have half of that. They do have amounts of silver relative to them set to each other, but they're not in round numbers at all. And so it's very difficult. It's like the half dollar has 0.36169 ounces of silver. It's very hard to calculate how much those coins are worth. You have to do it by face value or... Anyway, wealth is measured in gold, J.M. Karp says. Who cares what the spot is? Are we to measure our wealth in pesos, dollars, or Litecoin? Speculate in other asset classes, increase your wealth, bankers take gold. All true. The only thing I would say, though, is everything really is measured in dollars. Dollars is the benchmark. In fact, we complain when we see manipulation in gold and silver, and that the price of gold and silver are down versus the dollar. When Bitcoin goes up, it goes up to $20,000. That's for everybody. So people transact in dollars nationally, internationally, and locally. So that really is, that wasn't a fart. That was me moving my chair. People do view, I think in dollars. I don't think, oh, I have 2 ounces of gold or I have 26 ounces of silver. I don't think like that. I think of how many dollars I have or don't have. Wealth is not measured in gold. And see, that's a mistake. What happens is when you believe that, or you say, measure your wealth in ounces of silver. Why? No one else does. You can think that way. That's okay to think that way, but you don't go out in the world and transact based on your interpretation of how wealth is measured. Wealth is measured by the currency that you're going to use to buy goods or services. And it's not going to be, I have 26 ounces of silver. What can I get for it? They're going to look at you and say, well, I don't know what that means. How many dollars is that? I have 2 ounces of gold. They're going to say, all right, good for you. So I don't see how you can say wealth is measured in gold. It's not measured in gold by any merchant, by any bank, any central bank. Now, they could be wrong. That doesn't... See, I think people lose the plot. They get mad that the world doesn't think the way they do. And I don't like the way the rest of the world thinks either. But that doesn't change how the world is. And I think it's the same thing with... You don't like Bitcoin? I don't really like it either. But the world is heading that way, whether you like it or not. Silver coins have been removed from the monetary system, whether you like it or not. You can't use silver coins to buy stuff. The only way that can change is if you set up your own systems with your own friends and your own communities, and somehow you grow it to thousands of people where everyone's using silver and gold as currency. It's very unlikely. So I don't understand why people cling to these ideas and insist gold is money, period. No, it's not. It doesn't function as a currency. Could, used to, doesn't anymore. And people get mad when you say that. How can you say gold isn't money? It's been money for 5,000 years. And I say horses are transportation, period. They've been transportation for 5,000 years. And I always say horses are still valuable, gold is still valuable. Horses are not transportation. Horses are recreational. They're for racing. They're for companionship. They're for riding around in a circle in your outside your stables. They're not for going from Boston to New York anymore. Same with gold. So wealth is not measured in gold. Who cares what the spot price is? I do. I wouldn't want to have 2 ounces of gold and have it go to $30 and say, well, I still have 2 ounces of gold. 150 years ago, I would say who cares, because all the countries were on a classical gold standard and every currency was based on a unit of gold. At that point, I wouldn't care. I would still have my 2 ounces of gold. No debt is what the people are against. Yep. Yep. So, of course, you're going to do everything possible to discourage you from owning it. Correct, J.M. Karp 98. That's exactly what happened. Now, we've covered this concept in the past. They have dictated value. People liked the gold because they liked it, and then governments decided, well, if that's what they want, that's what they value, we'll just make our currency based on gold. They have changed the concept of value. We talked about this in a separate YouTube and BitChute, and we also talked about it in the cashless society. Part and parcel of dictating value is swapping out your silver coins and giving you coins that aren't silver and saying they're worth the same. central banks investing money in the stock market and telling you, yes, Tesla's worth $65 billion because someone, meaning us, is willing to backstop that price by buying those shares. So, yes, of course they're going to do everything possible to discourage you from owning it. And it's well documented. The United States, ever since Nixon went off the gold standard, the idea there was the dollar is no longer backed by gold, and it doesn't have to be. We say the dollar is a dollar because it's based that it comes from the United States. And they've managed to convince the world that that is the case. I don't care what Iran or Turkey does. They're not running the international monetary system. They're not preparing for what's coming. They're screwed. They're scrambling. So they're not running. It's not like they're smart and they know. No, they're the ones who are screwed up. Meaning they didn't screw up. I mean, Iran has the unfortunate position of being Iran because of the sanctions and so on. And Turkey, I don't know what caused Turkey's problems in detail. But the point being is they're not better off than the United States is, no matter how much gold they have. All right. Trillions in debt is not hegemony, says Ed Mull. But Ed, see, what country doesn't have, is not over-debted? China's jet to GDP over 200%. Japan's, ECB. ECB did $5 trillion in QE. They're all debt monsters. This is like 2006 thinking. Well, that's when Ron Paul gave the end of dollar hegemony speech. All the countries are massively indebted. The difference with the United States is people actually want the dollar, countries want the dollar, and they're willing to lend the United States more. The other countries can't even, what they're doing, if you think about it, Japan, they're buying their own debt. They're no better off. In fact, they're worse. China, same thing. They know that they're in a debt Ponzi scheme. There isn't a country or a currency out there that's solid. Everyone points to the U.S. debt, but they don't look at the debt of the other countries. So it's almost a sense of they're all screwed. I go with the argument, and I think Holter and Sinclair are making this argument. He says the world is Venezuela. Well, that I can go along with in that, yes, the whole world has a lot of debt. But the focus that the U.S. has a lot of debt, and therefore the U.S. is bad. No, they're all bad. The U.S. is not in any more particular bad shape in terms of debt than most of the other countries. In fact, in many instances, it's better off. It doesn't have the same levels of debt as some of the other countries. I think uranium is a good spec. Could be, says J.M. Karp. Anita A. China's a tyrannical dictatorship. Yep. From what I read. Now, of course, there could be something else. All right. Let's see. Oh, we got a lot more comments here. Lewis has gone the Andy Kaufman route. I think he's selling all his physical metals to buy Bitcoin. No. No, and here's the thing. People get this attachment. If someone sells their silver, they're a traitor. That means to me you've gone too far. You've fallen in love with an asset. You've married an asset. Or gold. No, I don't like Bitcoin. I don't like Litecoin. I don't like any of them. But I'm objective enough to see that the world is heading in that direction. And me saying, I will never give in. I'll be the last man standing. I'm not looking to win any awards here. I'm looking to analyze stuff. So if I don't think that silver is ever going to be used as money again, that doesn't make me a traitor. And by the way, I'm not out pumping Bitcoin. Everyone get on board. I don't pump gold. I don't pump silver. I don't pump cryptocurrencies. I'm analyzing where I'm seeing the world headed. So it's got nothing to do with, see, if you want to, like what people do is the cryptocurrency crowd, they'll gravitate to somebody who's going to pump Bitcoin. The gold and silver crowd, they'll gravitate to somebody who's only going to tell them gold is money, period. That is all I need to know. Central banks are buying gold. That is all I need to know. I don't go for that nonsense. This is unsustainable. Silver will go to $100 because the gold-silver ratio is unsustainable. All nonsense. And it's what you want to hear because you've become enamored with an asset, whether it's gold or silver or Bitcoin or Litecoin. I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. I don't even want people following this channel if all they want to hear is devotion and adoration of a particular asset class. Gold is money, period. Bitcoin is going to take over the world. Litecoin is the only money we could ever have. Silver is the most useful commodity on the planet. It is so undervalued. I don't talk like that. Well, I do, but only when I'm acting robotically. 22 trillion in debt, sir. Look up the debt amounts of all the other countries. Laughing at my logic. Ed Mall, I'd be more than happy if you never came back. It really doesn't bother me. I don't rank what I do based on the number of subs. If I wanted more subs, I would just pump. I would have pumped the gold back yuan game changer story like all the other gold pumpers. Fake story, fake news. I'm not interested in it. I also don't have like crypto to the moon. I don't talk about that either. $22 trillion in debt, sir. Absolutely. And what does that mean? What has it meant for the price of gold? What has it meant for the price of silver? Doesn't seem to matter. Why? Because it's not just the U.S. debt. There's a debt global Ponzi scheme, and the U.S. is in better position than all the other countries to weather it. All right. Andy Hoffman route. Yes. Your owners own you, little bitty Smaulgld. I don't know what that means. All right. I could care less if a country buys gold. What is it like for the people in those countries? Life is more than gold. You see, that's perspective, Anita. I agree with that. The fact that China has gold doesn't absolve them of their debt or of their way of life, which maybe you wouldn't want to live. I'm surprised you're not well researched and read. All right. Ed, we're not going to listen to you anymore. I'm not learning anything. Carl Joseph DeMarco. Security tokens are tokens that allow a company to do an ICO. Yes, under SEC regs that pay something like a dividend or a profit share. While latter, they can do an ICO for strictly utility token exempt from SEC. That's right. And that's what they want to do. See, because a security token would be akin to buying an IPO, which would be initial public offering, which would mean it would be something. The reason they say it's a security is the value of the token is going to be based on, or the security, based on the efforts of a company. Now, something like Bitcoin isn't a security. It's obvious it's not a security because there's nothing anyone's going to do to make Bitcoin go higher. Just why gold isn't a security. Gold is gold. That's it. No one can make gold worth any more other than pumpers, I suppose. But a security token, that's why they want them registered, because they are, in a sense, akin to a security. And that's why they want them registered. All right. We go from Obama to Trump, shows how fast things can change. And that's the point. They could ban Bitcoin. If you go from Obama to Trump to, I don't know, Ortega-Cortez or whatever, they may think it's bad for the people. DW is being facetious. Just a bit of fun. Okay. Is it in your Constitution? I don't know what that means. And I'm well familiar with the Constitution. I don't know what the Constitution has to do with Bitcoin, gold, or silver. Gold or silver also, there's a line in the Constitution, I think it's Article 1, Section 10, where they talk about this: no state shall issue anything other than gold or silver as legal tender. What does that have to do with anything? That's saying that states can't make up their own money unless it's gold or silver. Okay. Well, I don't even know what relevance that is. No state is issuing any money anyway. Bitcoin will not be the banker's choice. They want to control speed, ability to increase size. Jessel. That's probably true. I agree with that. I think they do want control. I think what they want to do is they want to neuter the Bitcoin and I think they would love to see it in ETFs. Once it's in there, it's not a functioning currency. It can be just held as value, supposedly, in a ETF, and then it's basically out of their. It's kind of out of harm's way there. It can go up to whatever it can go up to and go down. It's not going to impact the banking system, and yeah, then they can do inflationary banking. They can do whatever they want. Try reading that. All right. Fort Knox is 8,000 tons. See, Flight 19. How do you know that? Only because you've been hearing it. There is no way for you to know how much gold is or isn't in Fort Knox. That is such a popular meme. Ha ha, I have more money than they have in Fort Knox. You don't know what they have in Fort Knox. You don't know what they don't have there. But yet you want to believe that. How do you know China has the gold that even the amounts that they say that they have, or Russia? You don't know. It's almost what you want to believe you believe. All right. Do you think noise like moving your chair is a fart funny? Didn't cross my mind. Oh, let me try it again. Oh, can't get that sound again. Fiat sucks over time. Totally true. Food sucks over time too. Use it. That's right. Well, you know, that is one of these Keynesian ideas, is that money, you should not save it. They want to penalize savings. They want it. That's why I like negative interest rates, because if you don't spend it, it's not worth anything. Well, that's kind of what I was saying with Bitcoin, though. If it all ends up in ETFs, what use is it? Wealth is measured in family, friends, relationships, health. You can have money in bad health. You can't buy good health. Well, you kind of can. JSnip is a crypto hero. He bought a house off it. All right. You can make a lot of money speculating. Great title, lock them up. Now, why I don't understand this. Why would somebody want people who are trading in Bitcoin to get locked up? Would you like it if they wanted people trading in gold to be locked up? Was it a good thing when they confiscated gold and didn't allow people to own it from 1933 to 1974? Isn't that a sign of a totalitarian government? Would that be what you want? As long as you have gold and gold goes higher, I don't care what happens. That seems to be the mentality. Yeah, China has gold. China's my gold buddy. Yes, Utah and Wyoming can use gold and silver as money. And one more state I can't remember. I actually have a blog post on that prepared. And every time I go to publish it, another state changes it. A lot of states have removed capital gains tax on gold and silver, but there's still federal tax on it. A lot of them have it as legal tender. Yeah. Smoke and mirrors. All right. Flight 19. In Texas, you could pay tax in silver as long as it's minted by the government. Yes. And they also have the Texas Depository as well. The U.S. has screwed up. The dollar is a viable alternative. No, all fiat currencies are screwed up. All of them. There's not one that's any good. Hitler's Germany did very well with zero. Oh, I lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, I must have scrolled down a bit too much. There it is. No. Hitler's Germany did well with zero gold. Compare their living standard to Indian gold hoarders now. I mean, these are facts you have to look at. When people think that silver is the answer to the world, or gold is the answer, or Bitcoin, this this asset adoration, and I never understood it. It's like Gollum. And if you even talk about Bitcoin, then some gold people are like, what? You're a trader, or silver, and you talk. Some people actually like silver and think gold is useless. They're so in love with and married to silver. Some people like gold and silver, and they think that if you even talk about Bitcoin, you're some kind of trader. There are people that like Bitcoin that think the whole world changes because of Bitcoin. I'm sorry, I don't get that involved with assets to the point where I adore them and view other people who don't as traders. Unbelievable. Nothing is real today except precious metals. See, that's the kind of thinking I don't believe in. Plenty of things are real. The world is digital today. When you watch a movie, but you don't own it, and you don't get to see the actors in the play, and you're not where they are, yeah, it's not real, but it's part of your experience, so I suppose it is real. There's plenty of things. When you listen to music, is it real if you don't have the physical album or the orchestra in front of you? I am a big fan of tangible items. I talk about it all the time. I like tangible things. I like coins. I like baseball cards. I like vinyl. I like CDs. I like physical books. But the world doesn't. The world's moving away from that. And there's nothing I can do about it. So those things that they like are also real. All right. I'm glad to hear you, Pete, about how every country wants a dollar and how the globe is in debt. We need to be reminded of this. Yeah, because the gold pumpers simply just trash the dollar as if The dollar is like the only bad currency in the world, and every other currency in the world is smart. And then they praise countries that have gold, and most of them are the worst countries for the worst currencies. Gold is real to you. Bogus fiat. I don't disagree that gold is. I like gold. But it doesn't mean it's everything and the answer to all your problems and the answer to every financial problem. And it doesn't make you happier. It's just it is a rock. I know, oh, blasphemy. No, gold is money. Gold is money. Hitler was a vegetarian, reported terrible smelling farts. Cabbage, I believe. Land, animals, and people are real wealth. The rest is much more fragile. Well, that's definitely true. Really, in a world where you don't have to transact as much, the most important thing is the ability to sustain life through farming, animals, and water. Not gold. Certainly not Bitcoin. In the coming mini ice age induced famine, no amount of money will buy you food. That's right. So this whole prepare for what's coming. Gold's going to be $180,000. I don't know what that means. Why that even matters. See, a lot of people are married to gold, silver, and Bitcoin because they, whatever they say, they really want to get rich in dollars. All this nonsense about measure your wealth in gold, ounces, or silver. Now, they want dollars. They want whatever the price is in dollars because they want to be able to buy whatever they need to buy or want to buy, dream on buying in dollars. They're not interested in having 18,000 ounces of silver just to have 18,000 ounces of silver or whatever it is. They want the dollar value. I don't know why they would go to a... I don't know why they would go to a gold standard. They do not need to. In their minds, that would be like putting handcuffs on themselves. They would never do that. They say, well, the people will demand it. No, they won't. Politicians and bankers never want to be restrained. Someone made a comment further up. They want to be able to print and do whatever they want. The people are ignorant. They don't know that gold would prevent them from doing that, or a gold standard. And you couldn't even trust them to implement the gold standard. But the idea that the people would demand gold, which people? 70-year-olds, 60-year-olds like myself who like gold are gonna, how are we gonna demand it? The average person today under 60 years old doesn't know or care one spit about gold that they're gonna lobby their central banks to go on a gold standard. That's ludicrous to even think that the average person even knows something about the historical monetary value of gold and silver. I don't even know why I would even think that that would happen. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a good idea. I'm just saying I wouldn't count on it. Jessel, the Bible tells of a currency that is under total control of governments, the ability to stop all transactions they want. Yes, and that is what, in a sense, fiat digital definitely is. Anything where the government controls, look, that's give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Yeah, that was silver, right? Government issued money. So we vegans even more so can say that vegetarians are like Hitler. Pump then dump, says bogus fiat food. All right, grow your own. At the moment, the U.S. dollar is it, like it or not, which I don't. See, Walden Tree, I agree with you. That's where I am. But people criticize you when you admit the truth because you're not saying gold is money or silver is money or Bitcoin to the moon. And then there's this whole thing. You're like Andy Hoffman because you're a traitor to silver. You've gone all Bitcoin. I haven't gone all anything. I'm just telling you what I see. I'm not promoting. I don't. If you think that I'm on here promoting anything, you haven't been paying attention. Every night I talk about non-pumping things that just because I mention, see, to people who are so enamored with gold or silver, they think if you mention Bitcoin, you're promoting it and you've lost your integrity for even discussing such a thing. It's out there. I'm not gonna have blinders on like a horse with the blinders. You don't like nothing, honey. So what do you invest in? First of all, it's none of that's none of your business. I don't give investment advice. That's not the point of this channel. The point of this channel, for me, is to continue to be able to think and analyze. And if people that are interested in thinking and analyze want to listen along, that's great. I don't make any money off it. I don't care if I have 27 subscribers or 3,200. Doesn't matter. So I'm not here to give investment advice. A lot of people like to listen to somebody tell them, buy this, buy that. And then when it doesn't go down, doesn't go up, they say, well, it's because of this. Oh, okay, he's right. So what else should I buy? They want to be told what to buy. They want investment ideas. I'm not giving them out. I don't have them. Health, knowledge, community, and good land. Okay. The fees on trading cryptos are ridiculously far too high. Well, that's you're looking in the wrong place, because I did look at this, and Coinbase is supposed to be very high, but then they have a thing called GDAX, which is lower, but people can't figure out how to use it. And then Gemini, you shop around. The fees on buying are not that high. Ortega Cortez. Is that her name? Ocasio. I don't remember what her name was. How do you know it's not? Flight 19, you have to give me context because I'm getting to the comment out of context. Maybe put it below. Thinking cryptos will beat the bankers is delusional. It will be co-opted. It was created by them as a control mechanism in the first place. And even if it wasn't, you could see what they're trying to do with Coinbase and with Fidelity. Well, not yet Fidelity, but with all these CFTC futures and the SEC looking at ETFs. They're definitely trying to control it, even if they didn't invent it in the first place. Nobody knows if it's manure, gold, or lead in Fort Knox. Well, I can agree with that. But to insist there's no gold in Fort Knox, how do you know that? Because you heard it on YouTube 100 times? You don't know that. Damien D., good work on promoting critical thinking, something that's severely lacking where you can think for yourself. Yeah, what people want is they want me to be in a camp. I had somebody write to me, can't you just promote silver and gold more? Like, you don't, I'm not promoting anything. I'm analyzing. I'm not promoting. And by the fact that I mentioned gold doesn't mean I don't like silver. The fact that I mentioned silver doesn't mean I don't like gold. The fact that I mentioned gold doesn't mean Bitcoin doesn't mean I don't like either. That's nonsense. That's like cultish. You're in a Bitcoin cult or a gold cult or a silver cult. I like shoes. I'm going to get a little long in the tooth tonight. We're on up to about an hour. Let's see here. I like shoes, tunics with leggings, flowers, birds. Love my dog. I am rich. Yeah, if you're happy with what you have, then you are rich. Hail King Midas. Yep, exactly. The Ice Age will show us what real wealth is. Nathan Chandler. No one mentions that I have to maintain an interconnection to use crypto to spend my money. Well, we talked about that last night. And that's another reason, Nathan, that's a good point. Well, when people say that Bitcoin is digital gold, it's not. You don't have your Bitcoin. It's not with you. It's somewhere out on a blockchain. You have to access it. You need your private keys. You need your device. You need electricity. You need internet. You don't need any of that stuff for gold. So you're absolutely right, Nathan. Amen. It's all about dreams of getting rich. Yep. Ed Mall says, LMO, you are weak, sir. Tuck that tail pretending to be a bed. Okay. Ed, you don't have to listen. If you don't like what I'm saying, you don't have to listen. And you don't have to, whatever. People don't see it because it's hidden because Google hides these types of comments. But Ed, I'd really like to know what you're mad about. Seriously. I'm just analyzing gold, silver, crypto. Maybe you don't agree with it, but I don't understand what you're mad about. The average person is clueless, says bogus fiat. That's true. Totally true. There are lots of parts of the world where they don't have reliable internet. That's right. There's also lots of parts of the world where they don't have banks. So that's why they think there's an opportunity for these things. Walden Tree, I agree, but sometimes I have to wonder if ignorance may not be bliss in some areas. Yes, it can. Until reality bites. Carl Joseph DeMarco, there are a lot of trolls tonight, or what? Well, Carl, what it is seriously, they're so used to hearing one line of thinking that it annoys them when they hear something that doesn't follow what they're used to hearing. Gold is money, period. Silver is money, period. Bitcoin is going to the moon. They want to hear a promotion. And if they don't hear the promotion, they assume that you must be, I don't know, the disinformation agent, or you're promoting Bitcoin, and you're promoting gold. I'm just analyzing. I'm not promoting anything. All right. Well, that about does it for tonight. I want to thank everyone for joining in tonight, and please come back tomorrow at the same time at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And all are welcome, even those who get a little testy in the comments. That's fine. But if you don't want to come back, don't come back. No one forces you. And again, if you can convince me of anything I'm saying is wrong other than you don't know what you're talking about, well, explain what I don't know what I'm talking about. Because again, I don't have a vested interest in any asset that has to go up for my well-being. So if you can convince me that gold is going to 20,000 or silver is going to 20,000 or Bitcoin's going to 0 or 50,000, have at it. I don't really care where it goes. And then I also have no control over what happens. So if you think something's going to happen and I say it's not, well, we can agree to disagree there because I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm just telling you what I see happening. If you see it differently, let me know. No hard feelings. All right. They haven't ordered the contents of Fort Knox. That's right, Flight 19. They haven't. But that doesn't mean anything. They haven't ordered it since 1953. But here's how I look at it. What if the reason they haven't ordered it is because, as I said with when Nixon took us off the gold standard, they don't want people to think that the United States, that gold means anything. They don't want the US dollar to be tied to having gold or not having gold. So they don't even want to talk about it. If you look at the Federal Reserve, they never talk about it. So it could be a thing where they don't want to talk about it. Because here's the thing. 2,000 tons of gold is worth $70 billion. $70 billion. If the United States wanted 2,000 tons of gold, there is nothing stopping them from acquiring 2,000 tons of gold. They can print $70 billion in a bat of an eye and they can buy it. You say, well, that would upset the gold market. No, it wouldn't. India imports 900 tons of gold a year. I think the U.S. mines almost a few hundred tons of gold a year, like 200 tons. The United States could acquire whatever gold they supposedly don't have if it wanted it, if it needed it, pretty quickly. So I don't even understand why they wouldn't have the gold. Other than they didn't audit it, that doesn't mean, that's not proof of anything. All right. Okay, let's see. Any other comments? If you do not agree with them, they get mad. Yep. I don't get mad. I only get mad if someone starts yelling, you know, like calling me names or stuff, but even then. I haven't ordered the content. We saw that. Rough 99. It's good to think outside the box. That's why I keep coming back here. Well, thank you. Me too, says Bogus Fiat. Excellent thoughts, says Walden Tree. Walden, yes. Anita A, we're all learning, and when we think we know it all, we become stupid. That's right. And the reason I like doing this live, because if I just talk, I start to believe myself. It's nice to be challenged, but it's not a challenge just to say you are wrong. Or you're like Andy Hoffman. I don't even know what, is that an insult or is that a compliment? I don't even know what that means. I think I know what it means. It means that you view someone who no longer likes the asset that you like as somehow deficient. I never pump anything, so I don't even understand what the connection is. I think Bitcoin and precious metals are a manifestation of us broke-ass people looking for an edge. Yes, I would agree with that. And I also think that Bitcoin and Litecoin and Monero and Ethereum and EOS, all that stuff, the bankers like that because you can value those assets whatever the heck you want. There's no limitation based on income like there is for real estate or based on earnings, which they've managed to eliminate in stocks. But I mean, Bitcoin can be valued at 0 or $3 million. And you'd have no way of knowing whether it's worth anything. And you could, oh, it's not worth anything. Well, okay. If it actually is worth, when it was worth 20,000, it was worth 20,000. You could say it wasn't worth it. It's 7,000 now. It's not worth it. What does that even mean? The price is the price. The value may be different, but the price is $7,000. And I think that's why they love it, because they can move it around and no one can say it's not worth this or that. It is wherever it goes, and that's it. All right. I think Bitcoin and precious metal, yes. Pumping anyway, yes. And Nathan, in many, maybe in some cases, but some are just looking for diversity in investments. Yeah, but I actually think people do pump. It's just the nature of the game of assets. People own an asset, and they want to tell you why it's better than their mother. I mean, it's it's going to last longer. It's prettier. Who knows? All right. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you tomorrow.